What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out the 1st Earth Battalion, America's strangest military experiment. This is by a channel called the Y-Files. I got sent this a few times yesterday, probably because I just did the Mr. Ballin video, and it's that cool crossover that I genuinely really love. Military, which is my expertise as a former British commando, and the weird and wacky stuff. That Venn diagram, that little slither between the two of them is where I sit. I love this stuff. With that being said, this is by a channel called the Y-Files, who have got 5.43 million subscribers, and I've not reacted to their videos before. Some channels like when I do this stuff. Mr. Ballin doesn't mind it. The Fat Electrician doesn't mind it, but some channels don't like it, so we'll see how this goes. I'm very excited to watch this, though, because I love these types of videos. I will leave a link down below to the original video. Please go to the original video, give it a like, give it a subscribe, all that good stuff. Really important that you do that. They're at 5.43 million subscribers. Let's try and get as many of my subscribers over there subscribed to them. How many times am I going to say subscribed? Before we get started, let's check out some of the channel sponsors. You got to check out Chug. Listen. Christmas is upon us. Christmas is here. It is time to treat yourself to the best drinking vessel in the world. This is version 2. They just released version 3, and you can actually take this out and put it in the dishwasher and protect the sustainable wood. Listen, these things are phenomenal, and if you're like me and as you get older, you're starting to buy things that last a long time. I'm fed up of buying stuff that just falls apart after like 1 year. This is something that'll last you a long time. Handmade here in the UK with sustainable materials. I don't know how many of them they've got left because they are handmade. You get free customization, free bag, 10% off, link down below. Really important that you do that. And then lastly, check out my new business, Morale. I worked really hard on this for 2 years, making a really healthy, energizing drink, utilizing functional mushrooms, and also having a clear message of wanting to get people outside. So little pitch. Just like Red Bull and Monster and all these big energy drinks, they utilize their brand to do extreme sports. We want to do the same thing, but getting people outside more. It's a platform for us to get the next generation of kids outside, connecting with nature, learning about the names of trees and fungi and the animals that go across their land. It's so important that this next generation understands and has this relationship. You can't have a relationship without knowing the names of the thing you're having a relationship with, right? That's why it's important for kids to know the names of the trees and the fungi and the animals and the plants and the fauna. It's so important. It's so important for them to disconnect from the online world and reconnect with the real world. So check out Chug, not only for this healthy drink, but also for the message we're trying to do, all right? Other than that, let's pull this up. It's a bit of a longer video. I don't know why it says Debt Solutions. I think this is the sponsor. It's like 30 minutes, so sit back, get yourself a drink, pour it into your Chug, and let's watch this and let's have some fun. Let me turn on subbies as well.
This episode of the Y-Files is brought to you by PDS Debt. Imagine an army that uses music instead of bullets, that drinks herbal tea and meditates between combat patrols, that studies Aikido and carries baby lambs into conflict zones.
To be fair, I knew some interest, when I was in the commandos, I knew some interesting people that would do stuff like that. And if anything, if I was in the military now, I would probably be a bit more zen than I was back then. I was a bit chaotic. But also the zen side of things, the spiritual side, in an environment like the military, it very rarely mixes, especially here in Britain, unfortunately.
1979, the U.S. Army launched Project Jedi, a program to build an army of psychic soldiers.
This sounds right up my alley.
1st Earth Battalion. The program was shut down, officially. But those soldiers...
Right up my alley, this. I literally would love to be on Project Jedi. I did Op Cougar. I did a bunch of other operations, but Project Jedi, that would have been sick.
...are still serving. And the techniques they developed...
Actually, quick, I'll go backwards a bit there. Quick little fact for you, and I don't know if you know this. Ewan McGregor's brother was a pilot in the RAF. And his call sign, and this is true, you can Google it, his call sign was OB2. OB2 Kenobi. Because it's his brother.
Officially. But those soldiers are still serving. And the techniques they developed are still being used. The only thing that changed is the name.
Okay. Obviously, I can give some sort of perspective on these videos because I was in quite a high branch of the military, being in the commandos. It's not just fun that I'm watching this, I promise. Okay, I do have to skip through the ads, though. For those of you who know, you know, I can't watch that stuff on my channel, unfortunately. For legal things. Here we go. Let's
It's
see.
0900 hours at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. At the Special Warfare Center, soldiers run urban combat drills. Paratroopers practice jumps. And at Building 41156, another unit runs a different kind of drill. They're trying to kill goats with their minds.
Didn't they make a
Guy
film on
stares
that?
at specimen 17, a 2-year-old brown and white goat. The room is silent because the goats are silent. Their vocal cords were removed to keep them quiet during these experiments.
Whoa.
For 20 minutes, Savelli stares. Then the goat's ears start to twitch. Its eyes roll back. It falls over. A military veterinarian checks the animal. Its heart stopped. The experiment worked.
What?
These are the men who stare at goats. And if you saw the movie with George Clooney, it wasn't fiction. It was a real U.S. Army program called the 1st Earth Battalion.
Ew, have any men tried staring at cats?
Can I just say, as someone who is former military, there are certain aspects of the military where if you ask questions or if you go in the wrong place, you get in trouble, like big time. When I was on ship, there was a certain room, and in that room there were US and UK, and obviously this was a UK ship. US and UK intelligence Navy officials in that room, and we weren't even able to like walk past and look in when the door was open. We'd get in trouble for that, and it does make you wonder, like, what are they doing? I won't say too much more than that because I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to, you know.
Stop it. The unit was created by Lieutenant Colonel Jim Shannon, a decorated Vietnam veteran with one of the most unusual records in military history.
Okay.
Shannon spent 319 days in combat. He led search and destroy operations in Vietnam. His unit was part of the 173rd Airborne Brigade, one of
Okay.
the first major Army units deployed to Vietnam in 1965. They operated in the Iron Triangle, one of
Okay.
the war's deadliest zones. The 173rd suffered massive casualties. In 1967, during Operation Junction City, the brigade took over 400 casualties in a single month.
Whoa.
But Shannon lost only one soldier, and he was killed by a sniper on his first day.
That's
For the
horrendous.
next 317 days, his platoon suffered 0 casualties, and they never killed a single innocent civilian. On one patrol deep in enemy territory,
I mean, if you know anything about the Vietnam War, that is incredibly rare, and I feel like I should know about this. Like, we've done a few videos on the Vietnam War. We've done quite a few videos on it, and for me not to have heard of this is quite unusual.
Shannon's men froze. They didn't make a sound or signal each other. They just stopped. 30 seconds later, a large group of North Vietnamese soldiers
Hold on, I need to turn the heating off in here. I am sweating. Sweating.
walked past them, 20 feet away, and the enemy never knew the platoon was there. When Shannon
Interesting.
returned from Vietnam in 1979, he knew soldiers needed better tools, not bigger guns, better minds. He spent months writing the 1st Earth Battalion Field Manual.
The truth is, right, meditation and a bit of spirituality would go a long way in the military. There are a lot of hot-headed people, and I've seen it firsthand. There's a lot of hot-headed people, and there's a lot of people struggling with mental health in the military. And I think if they implemented some sort of mindfulness practice quite early on in training, I think it would go a long way in helping a lot of individuals. And I'm not talking from the weird and wacky side, like on this video, which is really cool. I'm talking just from the mental health standard. Like, if they implemented some mindfulness, if they did that type of stuff in the military, not only would it help a lot of people and probably save quite a few lives, it would also save the government a lot of money in having to deal with people with bad mental health after it. It wouldn't solve the issues, obviously, but it would definitely help quite a bit.
A guide that detailed his operations and techniques. It contained things like herbal supplements, mindfulness, music used in combat. Soldiers were supposed to hug every day to exchange energy. Shannon's guide read more like hippie New Age philosophy than military tactics. But the U.S. Army took Shannon's ideas seriously. They had to. His combat record proved they were. So instead of dismissing Shannon's techniques, the Army began using them.
Okay, it makes sense. The military's got to experiment every now and again to get things done, hasn't it? Got to innovate constantly, otherwise you fall behind.
Jim Shannon believed he had a special kind of intuition that saved his platoon in Vietnam. and he wanted to teach that skill to the entire US Army. And all those techniques are outlined in the 1st Earth Battalion Field Manual. And this might sound made up, but it's a real document, and you can read it right now. It's been declassified and archived online.
What?
Shannon wrote it at Fort Leavenworth in 1979. He taught future generals from 11 nations while he developed his vision for warfare's future. The manual was a self-help book for creating warrior monks.
I mean, the idea of the warrior monk is not a new thing. Like this idea of practicing mindfulness in some sort of kind of Eastern spiritual way to center soldiers mindfully it's been a thing for quite a while. And it's almost become a bit of a trope, hasn't it? Like the monk warrior. It's become quite a trope these days. And I think it stems before this. So this wouldn't have been a new idea. It was probably just adapting it into the West, because in the East, this was a thing that's probably been done quite a few times.
Soldiers would receive ginseng regulators, natural supplements for night vision, and divining rods for locating hidden enemies.
Now that's new.
For hand-to-hand combat, pressure points from Tai Chi. And these weren't just to disable enemies, but to heal wounded allies. Shiatsu massage for combat first aid. Hypnotherapy for weapons effectiveness.
Okay, so some of the other stuff, hypnotherapy could be something that I think that's been successfully used in people with addiction and stuff. So there's no reason why that might not work for certain things, but there's a lot of other woo-woo stuff that it's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? And know what's real and what's not. The truth is, within a military organization, a lot of people throw a lot of shit at the wall to see if it sticks, right? And even if something sounds completely wacky, sometimes it just clicks. Sometimes it works and it's a good thing. And that's how you get these weird traditions that you don't really explain, but for some reason they work well within the military.
Manual also covered hygiene and affection. A specific hand soap cost $7,600 a gallon. Shannon claimed it had mystical capabilities that could alter time.
Okay.
Then there was the warrior hug. Soldiers were expected to hug each other 3 times a day to exchange energy.
Did he look into the benefits of a little friendly towel snapping?
I don't think so.
The truth is, like, bonding like that's only going to benefit, even if it doesn't have some sort of weird energy transfer, spiritual woo-woo stuff. Like, you and the boys just kind of hugging every now and again, like, that shit works. Like, you see it in football teams, you see it in rugby teams, where if they score a goal, they'll hug, they'll bond together. In fact, there's a big thing about why here in Britain, men love football so much, because it's really the only place they're truly able to show emotion. And when they score a goal, if you're in the crowd, I used to have a season ticket at United. We score a goal, I'd turn to my brother, we'd hug, we'd cheer, we'd high five. Like, it's such a physical way of showing emotion. So that type of thing is genuinely needed within guys. And I think that the lads in the military hugging each other every now and again is probably going to help them quite a bit. And that's not just from the woo-woo side of it.
Even the uniform was unique. Biodegradable materials that wouldn't harm the environment. Built-in solar panels for charging equipment.
Okay.
Color-changing fabric that adapts to surroundings.
Interesting.
There are embedded health sensors to monitor vital signs in real time. And Shannon described all this in 1979. Smart fabrics, wearable health monitors, adaptive camouflage, technology that wouldn't exist for another 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, the unit's command center wouldn't be a sterile room with maps and radios. It would be a cerebral environment with breathing exercises, relaxation music, and isolation tanks. Commanders would float in darkness to achieve expanded consciousness for better decision-making.
And isolation tanks become quite the thing, didn't they? They've become quite popular these days. I've done it a couple times, and it is a very bizarre experience.
Sounds like a tech startup. Did they have beanbag chairs and kombucha on tap too?
Actually, yes. Shannon taught something very similar to modern biohacking.
I love kombucha. I think it's so tasty.
Knew it. Zuckerberg is a warrior monk. A lizard warrior monk.
I drink kombucha all the time.
Things when you do these live Q&As, some of them are very silly. So we got one. Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard, but keep the high quality comments coming in.
There were lots of food.
That's brilliant. On the weird and wacky side, though, I've got to Google it. I read For those of you who don't know, I really love like UFO stuff. I know it sounds weird. I'm a former Royal Marine, but I really do. But there was a book that came out. I've read quite a few of them, and what was it called? And it was by a lady in America who's been on quite a few podcasts. I can't remember what the book's called. It's really annoying me now. Let me look at my Amazon cart. And basically she says that she met someone from the government who works in intelligence, so quite high up. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, give me a second. This is super important to... I can't find it. She was called... She's a doctor, and she wrote this book, and it's a recent book. And didn't she do like... Oh, she was on American Alchemist. It's going to annoy me so much. Anyway, I digress. Someone will be able to type it in the comments. She meets this individual who is part of the intelligence community in America, and he says that he taps into something like a collective conscious imagination, something that he taps into. And he's able to do this. And when he does it, he's able to do things like learn about UFOs and all this other stuff. And he says to do it, he has a very strict regimen of mindfulness and diet, apparently. And this guy holds a lot of state secrets or whatever. And he was very high up very, very high up there. And what I seem to gather from a lot of these books that I read is, and whether it's true or not, it's up to you if you want to decide. But people, boots on the ground like me and all that, we just get the job done, right? There are individuals in the military who are all about tactics and science and materialism and getting shit done the way it's supposed to be done. And then the further up you go, the more people think outside the box. And that's how they're able to achieve quite high states of military expertise, is they're able to think out the box and they're able to do these weird and wacky things. And whether this individual who was in the US intelligence community, his diet and mindfulness genuinely helped him or not, even if it was placebo, it still seems to be getting him into a position of high intelligence. And so there's something weird going on there. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter, because there are people in them positions that do believe it, if that makes sense. And so there is some weird shit that goes on.
Recommendations. No more turkey loaf sea rations.
He's literally talking about, that's so weird, he's talking about diet and stuff now as well. There you go.
Were lots of food recommendations. No more turkey loaf sea rations. Instead, they ate algae-based protein bars, dehydrated vegetable cubes, and fasting protocols were designed to enhance mental clarity.
That's exactly what this individual was saying. Exactly. Oh my God, it's going to do my head in, but I need to know what this book's called. I've got to find it. Oh my days. The fact that I can't remember. There it is. There it is. Or at least that's the first one. D.W. Pasulka, her name was. And it wasn't American Cosmic I read. It was the newer one that she wrote. I'm yet to read American Cosmic. It was called Encounters. This is the book that I'm talking about. Let's see if it will focus. Fantastic book, quite short. But she talks about this individual high up intelligence who follows these protocols, and he's able to get to a conscious state because of them protocols. Very interesting.
Then there was psychotronics, the use of sound frequencies to affect the mental states of the enemy.
Okay.
In November 1979, Shannon presented the First Earth Battalion manual at the Task Force Delta Conference.
First Earth Battalion manual. Let me Google that real quick. I wanna know more about it. So it is a legit thing. You can buy it on Amazon, which is hilarious. Yeah. I guess this is a thing. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Leaders from multiple commands attended. And when they heard Shannon's ideas, they didn't laugh. They took notes. One general specifically was fascinated. General Max Thurman, future commander of the 1989 invasion of Panama, and considered one of the Army's most brilliant strategic minds.
Wow.
After the presentation, Thurman pulled Shannon aside with an offer: build and lead the 1st Battalion.
Okay.
Not on paper, not in class, in combat.
Okay, interesting. I'd love to have been a part of like some sort of unit like
General
that.
Max Thurman saw the potential in Shannon's manual, and he wanted him to lead the new unit into battle. Shannon said no. He felt the 1st Earth Battalion was more powerful as a concept than as a literal fighting force. And he believed the 1st Battalion should fight for the planet, not just for the United States. He wanted troops to carry loudspeakers into hostile territory to play indigenous music and words of peace. He wanted soldiers to bring baby lambs into combat zones as living symbols of nonviolence.
Hold on. The guy who murders goats says goats are symbols of nonviolence, eh?
I admit, I see the contradiction. Shannon even described a sparkly eye technique, a form of nonverbal influence to calm enemies through eye contact.
Yeah, sparkly eye technique. That's in a combat strategy. That's how I ended up with 3 ex-wives and guppy support payments up the wazoo.
So Shannon passed, but the Army didn't need him. They had his field manual. By 1980, Special Forces operators meditated before weapons drills and practiced Aikido in full combat gear.
The truth with I'm not sure about Aikido and all that lot, but the truth with meditation is it does help a lot. Like, we know it helps calm the mind. Other things as well, like visualization is massive. Massive. And some soldiers do it like unconsciously without actually like being told to do it. Like if you're doing CQB and you're room clearing and it's like a practice, right? And you're going through the rooms mentally before you crack on. In your head, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go around here. And you follow. And you see sports people do it. You see race cars drivers do it where they're like physically, mentally going through the track. And visualization is so important in meditation. There's no reason why this shouldn't have been implemented in the military a long time ago.
Studied ancient martial arts pressure points between live fire exercises. They implemented Shannon's nutrition strategies, intermittent fasting, optimized macronutrients, supplements for cognitive enhancement. In 1979, military nutritionists dismissed this as hippie nonsense. Now it's standard practice.
Yeah.
At Fort Bragg, in a classified facility, Project Jedi tested whether human minds could be weaponized. The GOAT Lab was just the beginning. The program's biggest champion was Major General Albert Stubblebine III.
What a name!
The
What a
program's
name!
biggest champion was Major General Albert Stubblebine III.
Major General Albert Stubblebine III. Holy shit, what a name! That's sick.
West Point graduate, master's degree in chemical engineering, 32 years of military service.
Okay, if someone's got a master's in chemical engineering and they're in the military, few red flags there, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Stubblebine was commander of the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command.
Wow,
INSCOM,
okay.
responsible for all Army intelligence operations around the world. 16,000 soldiers under his command. Every spy, every analyst, every code breaker. He stood
Okay.
in his office in the Pentagon. He stared at the wall across from his desk. He took a breath, focused his mind, and ran straight into the wall.
I've heard about that before. I've heard that story before about someone doing that.
His head hard, again and again and again. Stubblebine believed he could walk through walls. He figured that atoms are mostly empty space, and if he could just get his own atoms to align with the wall's atoms, he would slip right through.
No
He
big deal.
practiced every day.
No big deal.
He also tried to levitate, which probably didn't work either. Sometimes Stubblebine stood on his porch and stared at the sky. He tried to break clouds with his mind. A major general, he screamed mentally at cumulus clouds until they disappeared. This man
Jesus.
commanded Army intelligence during the height of the Cold War.
There's a fine line between spiritual woo stuff and then legitimately coming out with some interesting takes, isn't there?
in the Military Intelligence Hall of Fame. He was
Wow.
absolutely convinced that Jim
I thought that was Ted Lasso then for a second.
Shannon's 1st Earth Battalion manual was a blueprint for the future of warfare.
Wow.
Under Stubblebine's command, the military's psychic programs escalated. He hosted spoon-bending parties. High-ranking officers were required to attend.
Is this like Project Blue Book and all that other stuff? And that other interesting project that had the base on, I forgot where it is in America, that inspired Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things. I love that. I love that show. But yeah, there's been some interesting operations, projects in the military, hasn't there? Let's be honest.
They gathered in a room with silverware. They stared at the metal until it melted. Some of them swore it worked. He brought in psychic Uri Geller. Stubblebine wanted to know if Geller could telepathically erase computer disks, or even better, possibly trigger nuclear launch codes. And Stubblebine had believers everywhere. Colonels, majors, intelligence officers. They'd all read the first Earth Battalion manual and they saw the possibility. Millions were invested in classified psychic warfare programs, driven by the fear that the Soviets were doing the same thing. And the Soviets were doing the same thing. Soviet research into psychotronics is well documented. The Cold War wasn't just missiles and tanks, it was minds. And whoever harnessed human consciousness first would have an unbeatable advantage. So Stubblebine gave the order. The psychic programs were going operational.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting story, isn't it? I mean, there are always these weird projects that aren't necessarily successful, but a lot of weird stuff from them does come into fruition in other aspects of the military. Like, that's not uncommon. Still weird though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
General Stubblebine had turned the 1st Earth Battalion's concepts into operational projects. Now the military needed soldiers who could actually do the work. What started as Jim Shannon's one-man vision became a network of classified psychic programs. Scan8 became Gondola Wish. Gondola Wish became Grill Flame. Grill Flame evolved into Center Lane, then Sunstreak, then finally Stargate. Different names, same.
The Stargate project is also very, very strange, which, by the way, if you loved the Stargate show back in the day, they've just announced that they're going to be bringing it back. I am excited for that, I'll tell you that right now.
Goal, weaponize human consciousness. The CIA recruited people with natural talent for remote viewing, gave them nothing but geographical coordinates, and asked them to describe what they saw thousands of miles away. Remote viewers described a massive Soviet submarine under construction before satellite imagery confirmed it actually existed.
Whoa.
They sketched building layouts that later matched actual facilities. They provided details that went beyond chance.
Wasn't there a lady? So they were doing this weird remote viewing thing, and there was an aircraft that went down in Africa somewhere, and no one could find it. And they were remote viewing in the US, and some lady was like, "It's right here," and they found it. Some weird shit like that happens.
One remote viewer, codenamed Subject 372, was given coordinates, nothing else. He described a large building with a distinctive curved roof. He said it was near water. He drew a sketch that showed unusual architectural features. The target was a Soviet shipyard 4,000 miles away.
Wow.
His drawing matched satellite photos taken 3 days later. Same building, same curved roof, same unusual features. The CIA couldn't explain it.
Do you believe that stuff? The older I get, the more I realize the world and reality we live in is more bizarre than we could ever imagine. Stranger than you would ever imagine. And so sometimes I look at this stuff and I'm like, maybe. And then other times I'm like, come on. Come on, really? Surely it's just a coincidence, but I mean, we'll never really know, I guess, will we?
But they kept using it. Subject 372 was Pat Price, a former police commissioner from California who became one of the most gifted remote viewers in the program. He died under mysterious circumstances in 1975, but not before he proved he could see things that no one should be able to see. Ingo Swann, another legendary viewer, claimed he could see Jupiter's rings before NASA discovered them. Joe McMonagle spent years remote viewing Soviet facilities. His accuracy was so consistent, he received the Legion of Merit for his intelligence work.
What?
These were trained professionals with documented results. But in 1995, the CIA reviewed the entire program. They said that remote viewing had not been proven to work by a psychic mechanism, so they shut it down, allegedly.
Yeah, surely if it was working this well, they wouldn't shut it down. Surely not.
But the people didn't disappear. Major General Stubblebine retired and founded SciTech, a private remote viewing company. And other viewers also went into business offering their services to private clients. But the techniques from Shannon's manual, grounded in physics and psychology, were quietly absorbed into standard military training. And to nobody's surprise, these techniques worked.
That's weird. I feel like it would become more of a thing. Like, it would be more well-known if it actually worked. Surely more people would do it, and it would become
The CIA officially shut
Massive.
down its psychic spy programs in 1995, but the military didn't throw away Jim Shannon's manual. Walk into any U.S. Special Forces training facility today. You won't find soldiers staring at goats, and you won't see generals running into walls, but you will see other techniques from the first Earth Field Manual.
Okay,
Special
like what?
operators practice controlled breathing before high-stress exercises. Navy SEALs use mindfulness techniques to maintain focus during operations.
I guess. So obviously I've done commando training and I'm trying to pinpoint aspects of it. Like, how far woo-woo are we talking here? Because like cold weather stuff, like the Wim Hof stuff, getting in cold water, we did that. Get in the cold water, they literally say, slow your breathing down, like relax, like they tell you, like you do that type of mindfulness stuff, kind of putting yourself in stressful environments and learning how to cope with them so that you're better under high pressure situations. So I guess in that aspect, mindfulness, but we're not sitting down and meditating, you know? And so, yeah, you can kind of, now that I look back, you can kind of see weird implementation that maybe would have stemmed from some sort of mindfulness program.
And Army Rangers train in heightened sensory perception and intuitive threat detection.
Yeah, I literally have been talking about this recently. There is a weird thing that happens in the military, and it starts happening in training where when you're on patrol with the lads and you're so connected with the lads, you're almost as if like you don't necessarily have to speak certain things. You can just like, you know, when not what each other's thinking, but you know what, you're on the same page. And you'll be walking down a lane or you'll be patrolling a lane and you'll all just like something will change in the atmosphere and you'll all be aware that it's about to kick off. And before you know it, you walk like 50 meters down the path and, you know, contact right, you come under contact and you all know what to do instantly. It happens out on operations, like lads in Afghan have said that happened to them. Like I know lads who have said, yeah, you'll just know when the atmosphere changes. And there are certain things like a friend of mine was saying they were patrolling down a street and it's so obvious when something's going to happen because people will start going indoors, the streets will start clearing and then you're like, okay, it's going to kick off. But sometimes like nothing changes and yet you still feel it. Now, is that subconscious? Is that your subconscious brain noticing things that are changing and then you just automatically know something's going to happen? Or are you tapping into some sort of intuitive aspect of your brain and you know what's going on? I've spoken about this in the past. Lads will agree with me. If you form a veteran, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Shannon provided the philosophy, the modern Army provided the budget.
Yeah.
In the 90s, the Army released 2 documents, Force 21 and the Army After Next. And these documents are almost identical to Shannon's manual. They just removed the hippie language. Neuroscience confirms what Shannon intuitively understood. The prefrontal cortex responds to meditation. The parasympathetic nervous system activates with controlled breathing. Pattern recognition improves with mindfulness training. These are techniques that you can try for yourself. They're easy to learn, but hard to master. But once you master them, you'll see that they work. The non-lethal weapons survived too, and they got weird. In 1989, the Army tested Shannon's psychotronic sound weapons during Operation Just Cause. They surrounded Manuel Noriega's compound in Panama. They didn't shoot, they set up massive speakers and played Van Halen and The Clash at deafening volumes for 3 days straight.
That's interesting.
Surrender.
I also don't know much about these operations in Panama, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, they played Van Halen?
Yep.
Yeah, come on, playing Panama in Panama, that's just lazy, right? And if the U.S. military makes a K-pop playlist, they might conquer the world.
I'm not going to play that because I will literally get copyrighted for that. That's so funny.
In 1994, the Air Force Wright Laboratory proposed a halitosis bomb, a chemical weapon to give enemies severe bad breath.
Ugh, I guess it's still better than the flatulence grenade.
Then
Okay.
came the gay bomb. They wanted to spray aphrodisiacs over enemy troops to make them sexually attracted to each other. It was a real funded proposal.
The gay bomb. That's proper Alex Jones theory, and it making the frogs gay type of thing.
The gay bomb work?
I didn't ask and they didn't tell.
Yeah, nice.
Other non-lethal technologies Shannon envisioned are now standard equipment. sticky foam that immobilizes targets, calming techniques for crowd control,
Yep.
electronic vehicle stopping devices.
Yep.
Colonel John Alexander, a former member of the 1st Earth Battalion, became known as the father of non-lethal weaponry. And Shannon had a technique called omnidirectional thought, when today the Army calls it multi-domain operations. The idea is that soldiers have to perceive threats across land, air, sea, cyber, and space simultaneously.
This is giving me the vibes of, what's that new... We watch a lot of military aircraft stuff, especially new technology that's coming out, and is it the NGAD system? I can't remember. Basically, the new Gen 6 aircraft is not just going to be an aircraft, it's going to be followed by drones. This is a legit thing, the F-47 and all these other aircraft. Very, very important. And they're implementing a new communication system that has everything like instantly be able to communicate. And we're talking not only these aircraft and the drones that are flying with them, but boots on the ground. We're talking lads with scopes on their rifle. The new scope on the rifle will be able to get information. They'll be able to get information in their comms instantaneously from aircraft. The vehicles will be able to do the same thing. And so if something needs to happen, like, oh, the bomb needs to go, like, we need to send artillery over here or whatever, all that information's instantly done. There was even a new thing in the military where I think it might, I can't remember which way around it was, but it was something like an aircraft pinpointed a location and remotely fired an artillery from a vehicle to that location, all within the aircraft. Or maybe it was the other way around, where it was an aircraft pinpointed something and the boots on the ground were able to take that information and fire automatically from the ground. It was a very weird thing, but basically the communication aspect is going to get so elaborate, and this kind of gives me that vibe.
The warrior hug is also used. Soldiers build emotional bonds through physical contact.
Oh, did they get hit with the gay bomb?
No, but this became the foundation for modern combat psychology. And units that emphasize team cohesion and emotional support, they show lower rates of PTSD. Modern counter...
Yeah, that makes sense. Lads leaning on each other and becoming friends forms a safe space to be able to talk about things that are on their mind. The issue is when them groups are broken up, lads go to different unit, lads retire, whatever, that small group of individuals that you're able to talk to, the only people in your life you're able to talk to, once that group gets disbanded, that's when the mental health issues start to take place.
Insurgency emphasizes winning hearts and minds. Special forces train in cultural sensitivity, language skills, and community engagement.
Yeah.
It's warrior diplomacy. All of these techniques come from Jim Shannon. So his vision wasn't wrong. In fact, it was way ahead of its time. We looked at goat experiments, psychic spies, and the general who walked into walls. It's a strange story. It's a good one. But how much of it is true? Well, soldiers never learned to walk through walls, but it is true that General Stubblebine kept trying.
Is this going to be a weird part of the video where he actually starts telling the truth about this stuff rather than theorizing?
And the goat lab stories, they happened, but they were mostly exaggerated. One of the goat starers, Guy Savelli, claimed he stopped the goat's heart with his mind, but he later admitted he was aiming for goat 16, but accidentally killed goat number 17.
Wait. This guy's supposed to be a trained psychic soldier, and he can't even hit the right goat? What'd he do, use Yahoo Maps?
No,
Human. I once tried to order a pizza and accidentally bought a timeshare. At least I can admit I was drinking on Ambien. What's his excuse?
Oh my days.
And remote viewing, despite 16 years of research, at least, and millions in funding, at least, the CIA said it never produced reliable results. They said it was just good guessing. Though, personally, I think Pat Price had a gift of something. Probably ESP. And Ingo Swann and Joe McMoneagle also got a lot of things right. But the skeptics say that if you spend thousands of hours remote viewing, eventually you'll get some things right.
Yeah, that's the thing, innit? Like, if you're going to put your ticket on the lottery every single day, you've got more of a chance of winning it if you put it on it once a week. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you throw everything at the wall, something's going to stick. Still weird, though, eh?
But the failure of psychic programs doesn't mean the 1st Earth Battalion was worthless. In high-stress situations, the human mind is capable of far more than we realize.
It's true.
Shannon's Vietnam platoon proved that. His soldiers weren't psychic, they were just really well-trained. If you can develop a high sense of situational awareness, it looks like predicting the future when it's done right. And soldiers who can settle their minds during combat can compartmentalize fear and make better decisions.
Yeah, I think that has been implemented quite successfully in the military, to be honest with you. Really like this video. Good theories.
The 1st Earth Battalion's biggest mistake wasn't the ideas, it was the branding. If Shannon had called it Neurological Combat Optimization instead of Warrior Monks with ESP, the program might still be running under its original name.
Yeah, he's right there, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who will dismiss things just instantly because they don't like the name of it or whatever. It doesn't rub their, it's not their type of thing. The truth is, if you do brand it military-esque, they will like it, guarantee it.
But here's what Jim Shannon got right. War doesn't have to be about maximum violence. Soldiers can be trained to operate with precision, awareness, and minimal collateral damage.
Yeah.
They can use technology to achieve objectives without massive body counts. Today, that's not a conspiracy theory, that's a fact.
Yep.
Eventually, Jim Shannon retired to Hawaii, where he built an eco-friendly home. And in his final years, he tried to mobilize the military to plant trees and restore coral reefs.
Sounds like a good guy.
Footprints for the future. He taught communities how to live sustainably. The man who wrote a manual about warrior monks fighting for the planet had become exactly that.
Yeah.
Not as a soldier anymore, as an environmentalist.
I want to know more about this individual. He sounds so interesting, doesn't he?
Shannon passed away in 2017.
Oh.
He never got to see Special Forces operators use his techniques or non-lethal weapons become standard. Maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that his psychic experiments failed, but that his core message got lost in the noise. Soldiers should be aware, but also compassionate.
Yeah.
War should be a last resort, not a first response. Imagine what the human race could achieve if we spent our energy solving actual problems. Climate,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously. The planet would be a much better place if that was the case, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people in high positions with big egos.
disease, hunger. We have the resources. We just keep using them to build better weapons.
Yep.
Shannon understood that 40 years ago and knew that we can do better, that we can be better. Colonel Jim Shannon didn't want us to get better at killing. He wanted us to get better at living. He literally wrote the book on peace. So how many people have to die before we start listening?
I liked it.
Thank you so much for hanging out today. I'm AJ. There's Cyclefish.
Yeah, I'm looking for some cats to steer out with my evil power.
Holy, he's got like 6 minutes of video left, and it's all just his fans. Wow. That's really, really cool. That is super, super cool. I will leave a link down below to the Y-Files video. Go check it out. What do you think? Do you believe it? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. It's obvious that there's some weird stuff that goes on in the military because I've seen weird things happen that I'm not allowed to friggin' acknowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like when they say, don't go in there, don't look at that, blah, blah, blah. And you'd be like, what the fuck's going on in there? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. I will leave a link down below to the Y-Files videos. Also, check out Chug. 10% off link down below. And yeah, let's get people outside and drink some healthy drinks while we're doing it, utilizing functional mushrooms. Check out the things here. And then also, if you go to the subscribe button and click subscribe, there's actually 2 channels. It's the Drink Morale channel and this one. So go over there and check out the videos as well. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.